Hi everyone, it's Sherri here from Babbleboxx. You are tuning into another episode and we're taking on a different approach. We are going to be talking with three moms who aren't just any moms. They all just had babies, and we know that there's work-life balance, but also a whole lot of other issues that you're dealing with as an influencer when you have a new baby. Today's guests are Hayley, Tilden, and Claudia. Whether you're a brand or an influencer or a mom or not a mom, you don't want to miss this episode. Welcome to the show, ladies.
Hi.
Hi.
Nice to have you. Thanks for joining. So today's episode, we're really talking about moms who just had a baby, that kind of fogged brain, not remembering things, work-life balance. How do you do it all? Missing being in a big city when you now move to the burbs. So we are going to cover it all. And I have Claudia here, Hayley, and Tilden. So we're going to jump right in. And Claudia, I want to start with you. And I want to ask you, how did you get into the influencer marketing space? How long have you been doing it? Tell us a little bit more.
Well, hi everyone. I'm Claudia, and you can find me on social. My handle is UpToClaudia. And I started back in 2016, late 2016. And I started about my weight loss journey with like a Spanish community on Facebook. Quite wild, the changes from now.
Wait, you started with a weight loss? I used to work at Weight Watchers.
Oh, that's cool.
Yes.
Maybe you were in there. We knew each other.
That's so funny.
So then, so I started with the weight loss journey, and I built a community with the Spanish people. And then this lady, she owned a huge group with like 2 million subscribers on Facebook, and she made me an admin. So I had a lot of people just, join my other channels through that. But then as time changed, I became more like a travel blogger because my husband, he's a composer. So we were traveling a lot, and the weight loss kind of faded away because you're eating out a lot.
Oh, wow. Well, you look great.
Oh, thank you. So then by the end, I just became like a lifestyle blogger, just sharing the things I like and trying to help people, like sharing my experiences through things. And then I became a mom, and now I'm trying to shift it again.
Well, we'll talk about the mom stuff. It's very exciting. It's like a window of opportunity with brands. That's like a whirlwind, I'm sure, right?
Big time, big time.
Yeah. And Tilden, I know that you are in New Jersey, but tell us a little bit more about what your life looks like now. You have twin girls?
I do. I have 2 twin girls, or fraternal twin girls. Complete surprise. We thought we were pregnant with one, and then at the 8-week ultrasound, we found out there were 2, which was such a blessing. Because I have endometriosis, and I really didn't think getting pregnant was going to be anything that was going to be easy. So we are unbelievably blessed. It was definitely a shock though, because we were not anticipating
That's crazy.
2 at once, especially the first time around. But yeah, I mean, I was in the city I'm Tilden. My social is To Be Bright, and I started my blog in college, and it was mostly a fashion blog. Now it's a lifestyle blog. But when I was in the city for the last 5 years or 6 years before COVID hit, it was a lot of, lifestyle, beauty, mostly fashion. And now that I'm in New Jersey, mother of 2, definitely also transitioning into more of lifestyle, little bit of motherhood and parenting, and a lot of home and garden now, because I'm a suburban mother.
Right. There's you should join the Maplewood Gardening Club. There's a Facebook group for that.
I'm actually part of my hometown's garden club too, and I think I think one of the younger members, but I love it. It's really
It's awesome.
Yeah.
So Hayley, you don't know this. Thank you, Tilden. But you and I have something in common. When I started in this business, I started with a website for singles. Cooking for one, travel for one, health for one. And then I realized I didn't want to be for like me being out there. So I kind of went behind the scenes and started doing more of this kind of stuff, like the managing of campaigns for brands with influencers. But I love that you got started in the space, and I know that your journey has changed. So would love to hear a little bit more about that.
Okay, so I'm Hayley Bordes. My handle is Little Me and Free, and I live in Friendswood, Texas, a suburb of Houston. So I originally started blogging as a single mother. I lived in Dallas at the time, and I was just doing that as like a little project. It was something that's like an outlet for me to just kind of share my life. with my daughter, and I started blogging when she had just turned a year old. And so anytime we took a trip, we did some type of activity in Dallas, I would just write about it. And I did write a lot of blog posts back then, and share all of that with just my friends and family and stuff. And eventually feel like, oh, this is like really something you can like make your full-time gig. And the mommy space was just kind of taking off back then, because I think I started in 2016. And so there was not that many bloggers out there doing just like the mommy and me thing. And then as I grew with the blog, I ended up transitioning and moving to Houston, where I ended up getting engaged and married to my husband now. And I have 3 more kids now. And it turned into more of a lifestyle, family-oriented blog. And I do a little bit of fashion, a little bit of travel, but it's all still focused around me and my family. And so, yeah, that's me now.
Thank you. So I think I saw this, I'm not sure, but a very funny video of your daughter's reaction, Hayley, when you told them the gender reveal.
Yes. So that video went viral. It has millions and millions of views.
Oh my God.
The gender reveal, very impromptu. My mom, so us having 3 girls, we really were like, let's just see if we have one more. If it's a boy, let's just see. So my doctor calls me on like a Sunday morning. She's like, you need to sit down. I'm like, oh gosh, what's wrong? She's like, is your husband with you? I'm like, yes, he is. Just, I got the results back. And we're like, okay. And so we get it back and we're like, oh, maybe there's something wrong. Open it up and it's a boy. And mom had bought us one of those little like poppers that has like the smoke that was blue. And she's like, if you ever have a boy, you can use this. And said, okay. Well, it's been in the garage for a very, very long time because the boy never came. Found out. And so, you know what? We're like, we're just going to do a gender reveal, just us with the kids, not like a big thing. And that's kind of how we've always done it. It's just us and the kids for the gender reveal. And then we just send videos to our family because they all live in Louisiana. So sure enough, my husband had to go help him pop it. It pops open blue. One, my oldest knew what it was, and the other 2 didn't understand what was going on. And then they're like, it's blue. And they all started screaming, crying like it was the end of the world. They were team girl all the way. The idea of bringing blue into the house was like not even on their radar. So that happened. And then we finally came, it took a while. Once the baby was here, I want to say maybe like 2 or 3 weeks in, they all kind of came to terms with it and said, okay, we're happy now. And then the one who cried the most loves him the most, like is the most like motherly one out of all of them. She is in the room right now, sitting next to him, rubbing him, feeding him a bottle, like does everything for him. But yes, it was a disaster that turned into, a huge blessing.
It's a hilarious video if you haven't seen it. So I am the 4th and I'm the only girl after 3 boys, which I don't wish upon anyone because you get, kind of like, you have to be really strong to deal with that. But I want to understand from your perspective how it was, how you're finding the transition, because it is different.
It is different. I would say diaper changes are a lot different for me now, but I'm not used to that. I mean, my husband got peed on the first day we brought him home. He's like,
just go. Yeah.
But yes, this is what you have to expect. So the diaper changes have changed completely. I didn't have any boy stuff. So of course, like friends and family are like, oh, here, all this, he still gets wrapped up in swaddles that are pink though, because that's what I had from before. And I was like, well, there's no point in buying ones. You can just use what we have. So sometimes he might wear pink. It is what it is.
Right.
Other than that, though, like I don't think he's as fussy as the girls were. Like I think he doesn't need a pacifier, and all 3 of my girls did. So that's been a really weird thing. Like not just me, I'll just give him that and let him soothe himself, but he doesn't cry a lot. So maybe it's a boy thing. Maybe it's just him. I don't know.
My son was super chill.
Oh yeah. Okay. Well, yeah, the boy thing I think is super easy. Like he's way more relaxed than the other ones were. He doesn't need to be held all the time. He doesn't need as much attention, I feel like. So the diaper changes and just like less needy.
Yeah. It's interesting.
It's
nice. Yeah. It's a different. Well, thank you. Claudia, you tell me, I know we were chatting a little bit before. Tell me how your social content has changed now that you're
Oh, it has changed big time because at first I was like, oh, good. It's going to be easy just taking a picture of the baby, recording the baby and posting. But it's not that easy because you have to be in the mood to want to be recorded.
Right.
And so even in general, like I used to do fashion and travel. So now I don't travel as much. I don't want to take the baby. And plus I'm in Florida, so it's very hot. And it's like, it's a hassle. And then my husband doesn't like the heat. So we take a big fan. We take 2 fans, one big, one small. We put it on a spot. Then my husband's with the camera, with his hat. So there's an umbrella in the shade trying to take me a picture. And I feel so bad. I'm like,
Oh,
sweetie, I'll just use my tripod, but it's so now I'm trying to figure out, maybe I'm just going to do like fashion at home and do my like better living, which I've always done with like clean beauty. So probably I just go back to that and less of the outside world.
it's a whole, because again, it's the mood, and it's like everyone has to be involved, and it's like, what do you even video, or what do you even take with a child versus under a year old? It's hard.
Exactly. It's like you're trying to smile, but you're like, oh no, he's about to cry. Oh no.
Oh my God, hilarious. Yeah, we have pictures of my son like that, where we're like trying to figure out what to do with him, and you could see he's like gonna fall over, or like I don't even know what. Yeah. So
I know that feeling.
yeah. So I'm curious with everyone, because you all just had babies. Did anyone take maternity leave? Is that a thing for influencers?
I mean, I think I took like 6 weeks before I was like really ready to do something.
Oh wow, okay.
Yeah, I mean, I think it's just because this is my full-time job in addition to like freelance work. So if I'm not working, money's not coming in kind of thing. And my husband works too, and we're like a dual income household, especially with twins. And we went right to formula because breastfeeding just didn't work for me. And with 2 mouths to feed it, the bills were racking up really quick, and we had to kind of adjust to that. So I started going back like 6 weeks. Also, I feel like gave me a little bit of like an escape from it. Like, we're very fortunate that our parents, like both our parents, live nearby. So the few times I need like an hour or 2 break, I was able to do that. And it's just been so great for, I think, my mental health and just having some identity outside of just being mom full time. It was good for me in that regard. But I mean, it's still hard. I feel like we get like into a routine and things are somewhat predictable. And my girls are 6 months old now. So things are a little more like predictable than they were. But then all of a sudden everything changes again. And it's like, oh, now we don't want to nap at this time. Oh, now we're eating more, but less frequently. And it's like, at the minute you got it, it changes. And it's like, okay, I guess we're.
Yeah, I think it's going to be like that till like forever.
Yeah. Yeah. So it's like adjusting that. And then luckily they're both pretty similar in terms of schedule right now. Or they're at least doing well with that. But yeah, sometimes one doesn't want to take a nap and the other one does. And I'm like, okay, well, I guess I'm going to focus on you and you're going to sit on my lap while I'm answering emails.
I got to tell you, like when I had my son, like I built this contraption. I'm the worst mother. Like I had a contraption that would give him the bottle so that I could be working because I had to work.
Yeah.
And like this contraption, and I didn't breastfeed either. So it was like a balancing act of crazy things going on in my apartment. And we still lived in New York City too at the time. So it's, yeah, I'm curious to know from you, Hayley, and you, Claudia. Hayley, if you want to go first, did you take maternity leave? What was that like for you? Because I think it is a question like, what do you do when you're running your own show? How much time are you able to take off?
So because I've done this 4 times and kind of knew, like, you never know when you're really going to have that baby, right? I've had a couple of them that are a couple weeks early, and I've had some that were late. So I was like, this is kind of my window this month. And I only took a couple of things that I really, brands I really wanted to work with. And so I kept those and just told them, like, this is kind of expectations. There's a chance on my brands, but, so, and they're like, that's fine. We're willing to work with you. And so that's what I ended up doing. And then after I had the baby, there was like events and stuff going on that I'd already committed to. And I was like, you know what? I want to go to these events. So I went. My parents were in town. I'm lucky that I've had like the same sitter for several years that has helped me. So she was here to kind of like be my backup. And I made myself go out and do stuff. Like
that's awesome.
Later, I was out and about going to events and everything. And it's just like for my mental health, like to get out the house and not be stuck with, just in my pajamas all day, dealing with that. So, but as far as like taking a break, I did kind of just pull back on what I worked on for a little while. And then I want to say maybe like after 4 weeks, I kind of started to like ramp back up. And then at 8 weeks, I was like back in the full swing of things.
Amazing.
But that, like I said, I talked to brands ahead of time and kind of knew like that this is what the expectations were. And they've all been very like willing to work with me. And if it was something that I couldn't deliver on, I was like, there's just no way I'd pass on it. But like Tilden had mentioned, it's my full-time job, right? It's a source of income. So if you're not working, you're not making money. So that's another thing to consider, for anyone that's a blogger and considering having children,
Yeah.
it's a lot of work.
It's a lot of work. And as a small business owner, like I get it. Like if you're not there, things just don't come in. So it's kudos to all of you. Claudia, how about you? How did you handle did you take maternity leave? Don't feel guilty. We're all different.
Mistake. No, because I was pregnant, right? I was doing full-time blogging. I was doing my campaigns and stuff. And then my husband was like, okay, you got to slow down. I'm like, okay. So basically like 6 months into the pregnancy, then I stopped doing almost posting much, or like I was just, enjoying my pregnancy and stuff. But then you realize that, the money's not coming in. And I gave birth and I didn't do the epidural or anything, which is all natural. So I felt fine. Like I didn't have any issues after. And I felt like, okay, getting back to work. So I'm back home and I'm like, okay, 3 a.m. Let me answer this email. And biggest mistake, because I even got a campaign, which I'm very excited about it. I did at the time because it was a big brand. And I'm like, oh yes, I can do it. And I was like already only 2 weeks in. So I went into that and I'm like, oh, I wish I was home with my baby. But
Oh.
and then it's just one of those things that, you should have put it on the side. But I just felt like I already took so much time off that I need to start posting. I need to start answering email. I need to start reaching out. And I put so much on myself. And I was like, no, rest. I'm like, no, I have to do my work. I have to do everything. I can do everything. And I was like breastfeeding, and that was a mess because I didn't know what I was doing. Complete mess. But definitely I agree with you girls. Like you gotta take your time. Good that you guys did formula and just like got it out of the way, because that's another full-time job.
Yeah. That's another whole topic. The whole formula breastfeeding thing is like, I had a hard time with that. So I want to ask, because 3 people kind of said this about the brand pitching, and I just want to get a feeler out there. Are you ladies, do you pitch brands, or is it at the point where it's just brands are coming to you? Tilden, I'll go to you first. I'm just curious, how do you go about if you are pitching brands? I think that's an area where, influencers can use some advice, but also I'd love to hear it from a brand perspective.
Yeah. So to go off what Claudia said, like I also took some time a little bit when I was pregnant. Actually, I took a long time off because pregnancy was not very enjoyable for me. And I had perinatal depression the entire time. So it was like a huge shock to, my system, everything. So I was really excited to go back to work when the time came. But unfortunately, when you take all that time off, the pitches and the brand deals, I feel like this industry is changing like literally by the hour.
Yeah.
So in a way, I kind of feel like since going back full time, like back to what I was doing, 6 weeks after giving birth, I feel like I'm kind of starting over a little bit again. Like I have to build up my portfolio a bit. I have to start. So I am pitching to brands, but I'm kind of also doing a lot of organic stuff that's unpaid on my own time, which isn't very frequent because it's like I don't have much time. But
right.
It's, I just feel like I have to build up my portfolio again. And it feels like I'm starting from scratch a little bit. So it's been a slow roll, but I think my intention with the brands I want to work with now and the things that I want to put out there are way more meaningful and have more quality than they ever did before. And I'm like a lot pickier about the brands I do want to work with and having those long-term relationships and stuff. But I'm definitely still pitching. Sometimes if I post like a brand, like I did some stuff with Magnetic Me for a bit, which was really fun. Especially when the girls were little, it was like newborn. It was really fun. So there are brands that are finding me on Instagram, but for the majority of it, I'm still like compiling all my stats, sending it off, and really trying to sell myself in that regard. For sure.
And it must be a whole new world. So Hayley, if you want to chime in on this one, but it's a whole new world because you could now pitch all these baby products for you, Tilden. I mean, Hayley, you've done that before.
Yeah. So I don't really pitch anymore. Mostly they reach out to me. The only time I'll go pitch a brand is if it's something that I really want. Like I really want to work with a specific company for pool furniture. So I reached out to them and had to send all my stats, and they're like, let's do it. So every so often it's something like that that I really, really would like to work with the brand. But there is one thing I always pitch, and that's vacations. If I want to go somewhere and there's a resort I'd like to stay at, you better believe I'm going to be messaging them saying, I'd love to bring me and my family of 6 to your
my very large family to your resort. So I just want to put it out there that if ever any of you need help with, that side of it, that's what I do all day long. I'm happy to help in any way. I'm happy to share any, people that we have in common. If you go on my LinkedIn, oh, you're connected with, this resort, I'm happy to share anything that can be helpful or any tips.
I love pitching it too, because I'm like researching the resort. I'm
right.
Things. This would be great for us to go on, this vacation. And it's one thing my kids love whenever that happens, because I get treated so well when we go on these trips, right? So it's a thing where my whole family is all in for it. So I get excited to pitch brands, especially like specific resorts you want to go stay at. But I don't do it that often anymore because we're not traveling like we used to.
It's hard. And you have to wait for the kids to have breaks from school. And
we just did 8 nights in Mexico last month with the baby. Oh, yeah. So that was fun.
Oh my God, that's crazy.
So yeah, 8 nights. But no, it's we have to adapt for sure on all these trips. But yeah, I would say when it comes to pitching though, every so often I'll pitch, but for the most part, I just get reached out to by brands, and typically I had relationships. I've been doing this for a while, and I work with a lot of the same brands, throughout the year. So that helps a lot.
Awesome. So I'm going to go to something a little bit more serious now. The whole topic of mom shaming, when you start to put things out there and you have a baby, and the mom shaming is the first kind of sensitive topic. Anyone experience this? Anyone want to chime in on this kind of topic? Anyone want to define what you think your version of mom shaming is? Go ahead, Claudia.
Well, I'm not sure if this was mom shaming that happened to me, but that same campaign I said I went in 2 weeks after giving birth. So I posted it almost right away because it had to be posted right away. And then someone commented, oh, you're already back to work? I don't know if that was mom shaming or not, but it's like, I'm like, oh, no, I'm just having fun. Like,
no, it sounds judgy, right? So I think anything judgy is mom shaming.
I mean, I felt like, well, just, support the mom trying to make not asking like, oh, you shouldn't have gone back to work. It's too early, So if I had to say anything, that would be it. But other than that, everyone has been so supportive. People are so loving. They write you messages. They try to help. They try to give you like ideas of things to do. So that would be the only thing I have experienced. I don't know about you girls.
Yeah, I had a similar thing. My girls were 4 months old, I think. I think they were 4 months old. My parents, we like rarely go on family trips anywhere because we're all, I'm the oldest of 3 girls. And my parents had this really nice trip to London. And as a Mother's Day gift, they said, why don't you come for the last stretch of it? And my husband and my mother-in-law, were like, we'll watch the girls, we'll help. And I wasn't breastfeeding, so I was like, I can do this. Like, girls are sleeping a bit more. I mean, we had help at night for the first few months, so the girls were sleeping well. Like, I felt good enough to leave for 5 days. And London, I know it's over the ocean, but like, it's not like I'm going to Australia or something like that. Like, it was, literally across the pond, as they say. So I'm excited. I'm getting some time to myself. I'm like looking forward to like sleeping a little bit and all these things. And I get like a DM or a message completely ripping me apart for even considering being away from my kids, no matter how old they are, all this. And I'm thinking to myself, I'm like, my husband is very capable. He's very involved. My mother-in-law is amazing. And the kids are not like being left with a sitter for days, like we're not around. Like, they're in very capable hands. And I'm like, if my husband, he was in grad school, like I think graduated in May. So he just had graduated. When the girls were 6 weeks old, he had to go to Abu Dhabi for like grad school. Like, he had to go. It was mandatory.
And no one said anything about him leaving.
No one said anything. He was gone for 2 weeks. And I was by myself with 6-week-old twins. I mean, I recruited all the help I could get because I was just so stressed. I was like, how am I going to do this? Like, I don't know what I'm doing. And no one said a thing. Like, no one even, like,
that's
it was
wild.
Like
so how did you respond? Did you just ignore it, or you responded?
I blocked the person because I was like, we don't need this energy. It wasn't anyone I think that even followed me. It was just a troll, Like, I mean, I don't know.
Right.
Someone who's clearly really upset or jealous, or I don't even know. Like, the profile didn't even have a picture. It was like,
okay.
like a
Yeah.
fake account. But I'm like, let's like applaud a mom that has like, is able to leave the house and able to focus on herself. And because then she's a better mom for it, like it's one of those
Yeah.
things where I need to take care of me in order to take care of my family. And
Well, that's what they say on the plane, right? Before you put the oxygen mask on anyone else. And that's always what my doctor says to me, put the oxygen mask on yourself.
Well,
Yeah.
You have to fill your cup in any way whatever way that looks like. And if it's not, everyone's journey is different and what works for you doesn't work for other people. But like the last thing I'm thinking about is thinking that someone's wrong for taking time for themselves. Like, I think that's horrible that men can go do that all day long and we can't even go away for like 5 days.
Right. So somewhere much closer.
Yeah. Yeah.
I'm sorry that happened. So speaking of that, when you are, or any of you are looking for inspiration or advice on how to deal with these moments in your career and in your parenting journey, are there other influencers that you turn to?
I'm lucky to live in Houston. There's a lot of influencers here, and they have a lot of them that have young children. So we get together a lot and just do stuff ourselves with the kids. So it's a nice, way to kind of bond with each other, vent about things that we've been dealing with because they have the same background as I do. So that's something that I've been doing a lot lately, is just getting with like fellow influencers here and kind of like relaxing, not posting on social, just like getting together just to get together for fun and having, a common.
Awesome.
Yeah. So it's been good for like my mental health for sure.
I would say the same thing for me. Like a lot of my influencer friends also became moms around the same time, or they were already moms. So it's been something that we're always chatting, like, oh my God, yes, that happened to me too. And so like we just share either through message, video call. I haven't gotten together with anyone much yet, because the baby was small and stuff, but it is something that we do keep in touch and trying to share our influencer lives as moms.
That's awesome. And Tilden?
So my group of friends here, they're not influencers. They're like friends from high school. And, some of us are having babies. Some of us are getting married. Like there's a whole bunch of us in different parts of our lives. But I work as the assistant for Helena of Brooklyn Blonde. So that's also why I go into the city a lot to help her shoot content, all this. And she has been, I think I started working for her when her first kid, Nate, was like 1.5. And seeing how she was able to manage working from home as a mom, doing everything that she was doing while being a mother was so inspirational to me. Like she was able to make it work and just really, she's not a mom influencer by any means. Like she'll definitely post some motherhood stuff, but just seeing how she was able to kind of balance her work and her personal life and be a mom and do all the things. And she did it so flawlessly and still continues to do it flawlessly. She has 2 kids now. And just being able to see that firsthand was like, really inspired me that like I could do that too. Like when the time comes, like if she can make it work, like, and she's, has a huge account, like she's working with amazing brands and she's making it work. So it was really great to have that as like, she's continually my role model in that regard. Like if she can do it, I can do it too.
You could do it. That's awesome. That's awesome. So another sensitive question I want to ask is, it's, been in the news. It comes up every few years, but this year it's been in the spotlight and at the forefront. The whole issue and concern about safety and featuring your children. Is it fair to the children? I am agnostic on this one. I'm usually very opinionated. I see both sides of it. I'm curious. And I think, there are 2 sides of it. So do you feature your kids in your content? Do you not? We do have some influencers who now are blurring their kids out. I'm just curious, and no judgment. I just want to get different insights here.
Yeah, it's definitely something I think about all the time. My girls are young. They're only 6 months right now, but I think right now I'm comfortable with it. I haven't received any backlash. It's working so far, but I have a feeling when they get older, like when they're 1, toddlers, when they're able to have, like, of course, I'm going to say, are you okay? Do you want to take photos? Do you want to be on mom's page or anything like that? And the minute that they have an opinion or say no, like, that's it. We'll never do it again.
Right.
That's fine. I remember as a kid not always wanting to take pictures, and it's very frustrating when no one listens to you. And I'm going to establish that respect from the get-go. But I think for right now, like I do have my camera out and they get excited. I don't know if it's just, I don't know why. I don't think they know what my phone is.
It's like a fun thing. Yeah.
they're smiling for the photos now. And I don't think they really have their features yet, like as, they are little people, but they don't look like what they're going to look like when they're adults yet. And I feel like once they start kind of taking on characteristics and can be recognized, I think that's maybe when I'll kind of scale back. But I mean, I'm saying that now. I don't know.
They might love the camera forever.
They
like they
might
might just be,
and
yeah.
And I mean, I'm pretty good about like, I think maybe I won't post as many like forward facing photos on my public account. I do have a private one, so I can always share photos there if I desire. It's always going to be something in the back of my head, and that I will think and, pivot whatever when the time comes, especially when they can start telling me if they like it or not.
Yeah. And I know that, and I'll shift the question a little bit for you, Hayley. Do you see that, and obviously your opinion on this topic, but also our brand shifting? Because I know that sometimes brands say, even though it's a kid's product, don't put the kids. Or do you ever have an issue where the brand's saying, please put your kids and you don't want to?
So before I accept a campaign, I talk to my kids and I'm like, hey guys, this is what's going to be coming in. Are y'all interested in doing it? And if it's something they want to do and they've agreed to it, then I move forward. But if it's something like, I don't want to participate, that's not for me, then I'm like, we're not going to do it, because I'm not going to sit here and try to force them to do anything. I surely don't want them screaming and crying over something. And there's a rarity like that you ever see all 4 of my kids in a picture with me, because half the time, 1 or 2 of them don't want to be in a photo. So it is like few and far between. I have 4 kids on Instagram because they're not in pictures with me. But like there's one child you see a lot on my feed because she really, really likes to be in the pictures and take photos and get new, like that's her forte. So she's all over my feed. And then my older one used to love it. She doesn't really like to do it as much anymore. So she's not in it very often. And my 2-year-old throws a fit half the time. So I just don't put her in the photos. So I'd say definitely it's one of those things throughout the year. It kind of changes. If they're interested in doing it, they'll be in the photos. They're not interested, I'm not going to force them to do it. And if they're, a brand wants them to be in it, I get them to agree beforehand. But a lot of times stuff they're really excited about. So they were like, I want to do that. Right. But, there are brands that it's for a kid product. They're like, we don't want the kids in it. And that's fine too. Like, I'm perfectly fine with that because that's easier on me, right? I'm not having to wrangle the children up,
manage talent,
and get them involved. And you never know how they're going to react that day. Like some days have a few of them that are like really excited about it. And then other days they're like, I'm tired. I'm like, okay, well, just move on to another day and try to get.
Yeah, it's a lot.
But I guess if they want to do it, I'm happy to have them be in pictures and stuff. I do not share any of my personal information about my kids, like as far as where they go to school, my address, none of that is. And I'm very, very conscious about what I post online about them. So I do take that into consideration when I'm posting for anything.
Awesome. Yeah. Claudia?
Yeah, I was going to say, even from a different perspective of what the girls have shared, is like, I discussed with my husband, and even from the beginning, my husband didn't feel super comfortable posting the baby. I'm like, but he's so cute and I want to share. And you do want to share with your friends and family, as well as people that really, they like you have connected with online. But, now with AI, and like that's something that my husband and I discussed, is like with this whole AI situation and how they can steal the identity of a baby, or like how the cell phone's going to read their, DNA or whatever. Like those are things that are so concerning. And I'm like trying to figure it out because this is my full-time job and I am passionate about creating content and photography and things like that. And I love my baby and my family. And so it's like, what do you do? And I've been trying to rack my brain about it. And I think, okay, maybe I'll just use my camera because my digital camera is not connected to the Wi-Fi or whatever. I'm going to get hacked or something. And so there's a lot that goes into my mind. And then from the other side, it's like this baby monitor reached out. And it is a paid campaign and all. And I'm like trying to see, like, do they care about security? How do I know it's not going to hack my information, or they just want to steal it and sell it? And who knows do what? And so it's such a hard topic, besides what the media or whatever's going on around, like even within yourself and your families, like how do you go about something that can go wrong really bad, for whether it's paid or not, just in general. Like you got to be so like mindful about these things. It's wild. So it's something that I'm still debating, and I think I'm just going to go as time goes. Probably just use my camera and not use any of the Instagram filters and things that read your face and stuff, and like try to limit in a way the technology, because it's still my full-time job, but that's probably how I'm going to go about it.
Very smart. Very smart. Thank you. Thank you. So I have a question in terms of like talking about brands. Is there something, is there any advice when a brand is reaching out to you now, that they could tailor it a little bit or be a little bit different in their approach when they reach out to you now that you do have a baby?
I would personally say there's like two things that I think the brands have to be mindful of. One, you do have a baby, it's for a baby product. And so maybe the delivery time or when they reach out to you, they should give you, like I was fine with 2 weeks, a week, even, maybe next day, sure, no problem. But with a baby, you need another time, right? And so like at least 3 weeks so that then you can prep. And if you need any props, get the props delivered and things like that. And then I would say also with the budget, because I was thinking about it, like I love photography, I love editing and taking pictures and things like that. But then it can be very difficult. So you might want to hire someone to do the work for you and then you just deliver it to the brand. And so if your budget is limited, you're like, well, is it really worth it for me to pay X amount to a photographer? And then I'm basically maybe not going to get launched. And so it's a work to do this campaign. So I think maybe those two things should be something they should consider: the timing and maybe perhaps their budget, what they allocate for it. Yes.
Thank you. Yeah. The timing I know, and budgets are always, yeah. Tilden, how about you?
I would say I consider the whitelisting a lot more now, especially if it's something with my kids. Like if I think there was an instance where I did it, like I think I submitted like a couple of photos in a carousel, but I only said like these are the ones you can use if you want to repost them. Like, so I wasn't okay with I think all of them or something like that. It was just I wanted to have a little more control, I think, over which photo they were going to start sponsoring all over. So that's I'm a little more mindful of like what photos are you going to be and where are you putting them? Are they just on Instagram? Are they on Facebook? Are they going on your newsletter?
Right, because all of a sudden your kid's on a billboard on the highway and you had no.
I just want to have a little more awareness of where they intend on using these photos. And then I try to make sure, at least in the contract, or I do make sure to get that in the contract, like where exactly they plan on posting them. It's like at least the medium, like, is it going to be online? Is it going to be there? Just because I don't want, like you said, like to see a photo of my room somewhere I did not expect to see it and feel very violated in that regard. So it's definitely something.
Smart.
And the turnaround time, I completely agree with Claudia. Like someone wanted me to send something at the end of the week, like Monday to a Friday. And I'm like, no, like that doesn't.
There's no way.
There's no way.
Well, there's also been the photography because, but like, okay, I need a babysitter or I need someone to come help me and I don't have a mother-in-law or a mother here and I have to hire someone to watch,
photos, especially 2 babies. I'm like, there's no way that this is going to go well in 2 days. Like I need to be months.
Right. It's good. And Hayley, how about you?
I would say whenever brands reach out to me, especially when the babies are really new and you're like struggling with sleep and everything. And my child still wakes up in the middle of the night every night. So, but they'll message me in the morning. And then if they haven't heard back from me by lunchtime, they're messaging me again. I'm like, I have 4 kids at home and I'm by myself today. I'm like, it's just a struggle, right? Like some days I have this sitter here and it's summer right now. So the schedules are not, they're not back in school. I'm at home with them and they're like, blah, 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 blah. I'm like, yes. I'm like, we had a conversation. I told you to get to you by this date. We're not at that date yet, but you're emailing me, asking me for the content early. I'm like, you're going to get it on the last day. Possibly do. I'm like, there's no possible way I'm getting it to you early.
Now it makes sense.
Run back to your email, but I am like literally at home with all 4 kids right now. And this is like, be a baby campaign or something. I'm like, I have all these kids, right? Like, not a secret.
But it's also a big thing when they do go back to school. It frees up even so you have one baby at home, but then the other kids are somewhere else. So it's a lot more time for you.
Right. Yeah. I would just say the main thing is take that into consideration. They do have kids at home, so they're not going to be sitting at their computer all day ready to respond back to you right away.
Yeah. Good one. All right. Well, now I'm going to move on to my most favorite question, which I ask all the time. So, Hayley, if you want to go first, name an influencer you love to follow but hate to admit that you do.
Oh my goodness. I don't really know if you would consider him an influencer, but oh my gosh, his name's Matt. It's the guy on TikTok that does all the let's go do farm chores. Have y'all seen him?
I think so. Yeah.
Okay. So he's this Southern guy and he like, I guess he said does like boudoir photography and stuff, but he has a farm and he goes out and does farm tours with all the animals.
Oh my
And
God.
he's very sassy. And so he talks to the animals and he calls them his babies and stuff. And it's just very, very entertaining because he's not meant to do farming. But he's out there doing it. Like he'll drive the tractor and get stuck in like the dirt. And he just, it's really funny. So his name's Matt something, but I'll have to go look it up. But anyway, that's who I follow him and I get a kick out of it. And it's probably not how she's be spending my, time, but he's very, very entertaining.
That's funny. Claudia, how about you?
I wouldn't say I have that situation just yet because I feel like I won't follow anyone that posts more than 3 times a day because in Instagram things I want to see, that's all I want to see. And I'm like, no, Instagram, no.
My whole Instagram is Snoopy because I follow Snoopy's accounts. So then all of a sudden my whole feed is like all these Snoopy accounts. But anyway. Yeah. Tilden, what about you?
I'm kind of the same. I don't really, I think I like got rid of a lot of people that either I was not vibing with or I didn't really enjoy their content. But I will say I am a huge, I love reading the subreddit NYC influencer snark.
Okay.
It's kind of funny because it's a lot of like people submitting like, spilling tea about someone this, someone that, and like some people I used to know and like hang out with. So it's kind of just, it's like a gossip forum.
Right.
Really, like I'm not doing anything with it. I'm just kind of like, oh, I had no idea this and that, whatever. And it's kind of like a way I decompress and realize that like, my life's a little boring, but at like in terms
Listen, that's why I watch Real Housewives because I'm like, I watch Real Housewives of New York. I'm like, I'm okay. I'm doing this okay. I'm not,
Exactly. Just sometimes I just like, because sometimes I know the person, sometimes I don't. And then it's like, I heard this. It's kind of like, oh my gosh, why am I blanking on the name? I'm blanking on that account. It's not Diet Prada. It's, I'm blanking. She gets all the blinds of like everything. Does anyone remember who I'm talking about? She gets like all these blinds about celebrities and stuff.
Oh, wow.
Yeah. It's like, it's like,
it makes you feel you're okay.
Yeah. It's a nice decompressing thing to do sometimes.
Yeah, I agree. Well, thank you, ladies. Thanks for being part of this. It means a lot. I know you guys are doing everything and we love working with you. We love having you as part of our community. And I'm so thankful that we got a chance to chat and have a great day. And we'll see you soon, everyone.
Thank you.
Bye.
Bye.
Thanks, everyone, for tuning in. So much information and insider information to what new moms have to deal with on a daily basis when you're an influencer. Super shout out to all 3, Hayley, Tilden, and Claudia. Please make sure to follow them on their social channels. And if you want more information, just visit our website, Babbleboxx. That's www.babbleboxx.com with 2 X's. And you can find this episode and other episodes there.